but she had a fear. She said, "Ma, I'm scared."
And Alexis's cousin and aunt said Alexis also mentioned a van following her and that she was nervous she wouldn't make it to her birthday just a few weeks later.
Did Alexis ever express why she felt like she might not see her birthday?
She didn't ever express it, but she did sound scared.
She sounded very scared, like she knew something was gonna happen to her. And we just don't know what or why.
Before I went to church, Lex didn't even want me to go to church. She kept on saying, "TJ, don't go to church. I keep seeing you dying in oncoming traffic, like a car gonna hit you head on."
She felt like her life was in danger. She was saying that she wasn't gonna see her 30th birthday. And so, you know, when you think about it, she was right.
You know, a mother's intuition is a strong thing. In your gut, what do you feel may have happened to Alexis?
I feel like someone had taken her. I really prayed that that's not the case. But I really feel like that she has been taken.
She told her mama, her family, her friends, "I'm not gonna make it to my 30th birthday." And when that birthday came around, they had a seafood boil, got a cake with her face on it, and celebrated without her. Because Alexis was right. But here's what nobody wants to admit out loud. Was she predicting the future? Or was she creating it? Because this woman was out here playing with spiritual forces, like she had a customer service number for the ancestors, honey. Wishing death on exes, burying boxes in her backyard, and then acting surprised when something started hunting her. And while the internet was ready to burn her baby daddy at the stake, even though his ankle monitor said he was home watching Netflix, there's a whole other man in this story that her mother knew about and didn't tell police for an entire month. So buckle up, because we're about to talk about Alexis Wear, and I promise you, this is one of those cases where the more you learn, the less any of it makes sense. But don't worry, I'm right here to walk you through every twisted turn of this story, because somebody needs to tell it right. Okay, so before we get into how Alexis Wear disappeared, we need to talk about the text message her baby daddy sent her that said, and then 2 weeks later, she actually went missing. Because if that doesn't make you go, wait, what? Then baby, you're not paying attention. But let me back up, because Alexis's story doesn't start with that text. It starts with a woman who was genuinely trying to get her life together. Alexis was 29, living in Greenville, South Carolina, running a home hair salon, doing makeup, building her Instagram. And she wasn't just posting cute pictures and calling it entrepreneurship like some of these folks. Alexis had moves. Business license? Check. Approved to break her lease early? Check. Inventory, equipment, plans to open a boutique in Atlanta? Check, check, check. Her mama said when Alexis wanted something, she got it. Period. Here's what you need to know about her personality, though. Alexis wasn't dramatic. She didn't create chaos for attention. People who knew her said she was warm, grounded, handled her responsibilities. Her brother called her the best big sister ever. So when she started saying absolutely wild things in January 2022, everyone around her was like, okay, something is seriously wrong, because that wasn't her character. Now let's talk about TJ Patterson. And baby, this relationship is where everything gets complicated. TJ is her ex and the father of her 2-year-old son. They met, fell hard, and Alexis was posting him everywhere talking about how happy she was. When she got pregnant with twins, they were excited. But during a routine checkup, the doctor told them one of the babies had no heartbeat. That kind of loss either brings you closer or breaks you, and for them it eventually broke them. By October 2021, TJ moved out. According to him, he never went back to her apartment. After that, here's what most true crime channels covering this case won't tell you, because honestly, you have to dig to find this documentation. Everyone wants to jump straight to the sensational parts of this story. But when you actually read what Alexis wrote in her own words just 1 week before she disappeared, you'll understand this isn't what it seems. This is about a desperate woman trying to escape a dangerous situation, and the contradictions in her behavior that make you question everything. On January 23rd, 2022, that's 1 week before she vanished, Alexis sent an email to her apartment manager that should have had somebody calling the police immediately. And we actually have this email, baby. Alexis wrote that she was trying to leave an abusive relationship on all levels. She said she wasn't strong enough before, but she was ready now. She explained that her life and her kids were more important, and that her kids didn't deserve to see her being treated this way. But then she dropped a bomb that most people don't know about. She wrote that TJ had been to jail before for a pending case with multiple victims. And when he got out, she was his first phone call. She spent over $50,000 of her savings, money she'd been saving to leave and start over, on 2 lawyers to help him beat a life sentence. He took everything from her financially and emotionally. And then she wrote something that's going to make your stomach turn. She said TJ told her directly on the phone, "The only reason why he ain't smoked me yet is only because he's on GPS. He can't get away with it like he did in the past." Wait, like he did in the past? What does that mean? Alexis explained it clearly. She wrote, and I need you to hear this, he already killed 2 people years ago, in his past early teens, which is why he did jail time. Only 10 years. But yet he didn't learn from that. So let me make sure we're all understanding this correctly. According to Alexis, TJ Patterson had already taken 2 lives when he was younger. He served only 10 years for that. Got out, and then he was on GPS monitoring for another pending violent case with victims. And he told Alexis the only reason he hadn't killed her yet was because that ankle monitor was tracking him. Alexis also described recent violence in her email. She wrote about how TJ beat her up in front of family members, and when she called the police, his family was more concerned about why she involved law enforcement than about the fact that he'd assaulted her. She explained that because of the violence, she started arranging custody exchanges off the highway in Anderson, halfway between their locations, meeting with his mother or other family members instead of him directly. She never brought them to her home in Greenville and never let TJ know where she lived, because as long as she could control that, he'd never find out. She wrote, "I feel the more I stay around him, he's going to really hurt me one day. I got to leave, and I'm trying to leave fast and quietly. I need help." And on top of this email, there were text messages between them showing TJ telling Alexis he hated her and wanted to hurt her, when she said she'd just communicate through his mother. He reportedly texted back, "Bitch, die." And then he apologized, but not for threatening her. His apology was you was never supposed to put no police involved. He wasn't sorry for hurting her. He was sorry she told on him. Now here's where this story starts falling apart, and I need y'all to pay close attention, because this is where nothing makes sense anymore. If Alexis was this terrified of TJ, terrified enough to write that email, scared enough to meet him only on the highway with family members present, desperate enough to keep her address hidden, then explain to me why on January 30th, she didn't just give him their 2-year-old son for custody exchange. She also asked if her 9-year-old daughter could go with him, a daughter who isn't even TJ's child. If you're convinced this man killed 2 people as a teenager and told you the only thing stopping him from killing you is a piece of plastic around his ankle, why would you trust him with both of your children? That doesn't make sense, does it? And here's another thing that doesn't add up. 4 days before she disappeared, Tuesday night, January 28th, at 1:30 in the morning, Alexis called TJ.
So Tuesday night, 1:30 in the morning, she called me out. She called, wake me up, talking about some TJ. She say, I know you sleep. I know you gotta work in the morning. She say, but let me tell you something right quick. I'm like, what you talking about, Lit? What's up? She talking about some well, my last 5 exes within the last 7 years, they died. Huh? What you talking about? She said, I wish death upon them. I said, bro, you is tripping. You know what I'm saying? You need help, man. Get off my phone. You talking crazy. I hung up. She started sending me all type of pictures of a ladybug crawling on the ceiling, what the meanings of it, her Pisces sign, all type of weird talk. You know what I'm saying?
She says, I know you're sleeping. I know you got work. But let me tell you something. My last 5 exes within the last 7 years, they all died. And I wish death on every single one of them. Hold on. You're calling the man you claim is a murderer to confess that you killed people with magic. If you're trying to escape quietly, like you wrote in that email, why are you calling him at 1:30 a.m. admitting to deaths? That's not escaping quietly, baby. That's asking for trouble. TJ said he told her she was tripping and hung up. But then she started blowing up his phone with pictures. A ladybug on her ceiling, zodiac information, spiritual meanings. And then 2 days before she disappeared, her neighbor's Ring doorbell caught this.
Hey, it's your neighbor upstairs.
What's up?
I was letting you know that I ain't gonna lie, I do like root work and shit like that, but good and bad. I already broke what I needed to do.
Why are you moving?
I just gotta get away. My ex, just everything, the abuse, and he's tired. And the only way I know I can get away from him, like,
You leaving the state?
yes, I got to. I got to. That's the only way I'm gonna get away from him. Because he don't know I can read him, I can look in your eyes, I can read you. He didn't realize I've been reading him the whole time. I've been reading.
Talking about the guy that was here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Clients, like, you live your life miserable. Trying all the time, trying to please this man, and it's like you really can, you're just trying too hard. So I planned my time, and I said when it was gonna happen, and that she announced that she was pregnant, and a month later she was supposed to nurse. I ain't even go look. I just knew when it was gonna happen, and I didn't even have to go confirm her status or nothing. Her cousin sent this to me because she knew that.
Alexis walks up to her neighbor's door holding a shovel. The neighbor had seen her in the backyard digging, and instead of saying, oh hey, sorry, I was just gardening, Alexis opens with, hey, it's your neighbor upstairs. I was letting you know that I ain't gonna lie. I do root work and shit like that. But good and bad. She explains she's moving to escape her abusive ex, that she's tired, that she has to leave the state. For those who don't know, root work is traditional African American folk magic. You use herbs, roots, personal items to cast spells. Some people use it for protection. Others use it to harm, control, or curse people. And when you bury something in your backyard, especially for binding or love spells, it's meant to keep someone tied to you. But here's my question. Was Alexis burying a spell to bind TJ or digging up a spell to release him? Because if she's trying to leave him quietly, why would she be doing magic to keep him tied to her? That's the opposite of leaving, baby. And then on Sunday morning, January 30th, the very day she disappeared, Alexis calls TJ again.
Before I went to church, Lex didn't even want me to go to church. She kept on saying, TJ, don't go to church. I keep seeing you dying in oncoming traffic, like a car gonna hit you head on. She saw me a car crash, which I got in my inbox, or somebody got killed on a head-on car crash. I'm like, Lex, man, listen, one thing about it, you can't stop death. You feel me? Like, whatever happened, gonna happen. I ain't scared of it. I ain't scared of death. You know what I'm saying? We all gotta go.
TJ woke up emotional about everything happening with Alexis. He could tell she was going through something mentally, so he decided to go to church. But before he left, Alexis called, begging him. TJ, don't go to church. I keep seeing you down there on oncoming traffic, like a car gonna hit you head on. She was having visions of him dying in a car crash. So let me ask you something. If you're scared of someone, why are you calling to warn them about danger? If you're trying to move to another state to escape someone, why do you care if they die in a car crash? Wouldn't that actually solve your problem? Unless you're not actually trying to leave them. Unless you're still emotionally attached. Unless this isn't about escaping at all, and it's about something much more complicated. TJ's response? Man, you can't stop death. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. I ain't scared of dying. And he went to church anyway, and nothing happened to him that day. Now here's what every other true crime channel wants you to focus on. The root work, the dark magic, the supernatural angle. They want to make this about curses and spells and spiritual forces. But when you actually look at the facts, when you read Alexis's own words in that email and then compare them to her actions in those final days, something doesn't add up. She writes that she's terrified and needs to leave quietly. But then she's calling TJ multiple times, confessing to killing exes, warning him about visions, doing root work that might be binding him to her, and trusting him with both her children. That's not the behavior of someone trying to escape. That's the behavior of someone who's deeply traumatized, caught in a cycle of abuse, where you're simultaneously terrified of someone and unable to let them go. That's trauma bonding. That's what happens when your fear of being alone becomes stronger than your fear of being hurt. Or, and this is the uncomfortable possibility, someone is lying. Maybe TJ is lying about what happened that final night. Maybe Alexis was lying in that email to create a paper trail that would make TJ look guilty if something happened to her. Maybe the family is lying about what they knew. Maybe everyone is telling their version of the truth, and none of those versions actually match reality. Because here's what we know for sure. Alexis wrote an email saying TJ killed 2 people and threatened to kill her. But police cleared TJ because his ankle monitor proved he was home that night. So either the ankle monitor is lying, or Alexis's email is lying, or something else entirely is going on that none of us understand yet. What we're looking at here isn't a simple case of the ex did it, or she cursed herself. What we're looking at is a situation so tangled up in contradictions, lies, trauma, and desperation that by the time Alexis disappeared, nobody, not her family, not TJ, not the police, not even Alexis herself, could tell what was real anymore. In those final days of January 2022, Alexis was absolutely certain she wouldn't make it to her 30th birthday in March. She told her mama, her family, everyone around her. And maybe she was right. Or maybe she made herself right by believing it so hard that she created the circumstances for it to happen. Because 4 days after warning TJ about that vision, Alexis dropped both her children off with him at a gas station. The same man she'd written was a killer just 1 week earlier, sped away into the night like something was chasing her. Nobody has seen her since. So, which Alexis are we supposed to believe? The one who wrote that terrified email? or the one who kept calling her supposed abuser to confess and warn and connect? The one trying to escape, or the one whose actions kept pulling her back? That's the real mystery here, baby. And it's one that's going to haunt us all the way through this story. So let's talk about that final weekend at her mama's house, because what happened between Friday, January 28th, and Sunday, January 30th, is going to show you just how far gone Alexis was mentally. Friday night, Alexis drives 80 miles to her mother Alberta's house with both kids. Nothing seems unusual at first. She feeds them, puts them to bed, goes to sleep herself. But Saturday is when things get weird. Alberta notices Alexis isn't acting right. She's jumpy, anxious, scared. And then Alexis's phone starts ringing, over and over, same number. A number she's already blocked, but somehow the calls keep getting through anyway. When Alberta asks who's calling, Alexis doesn't say, "This guy I know," or "someone from my past." She says, "The devil is calling my phone." Not a devil, the devil. Like she's on a first-name basis with Satan himself. And then Alexis starts talking about astrology, about her Pisces sign, about seeing things in the future. She's telling her mother to pay attention to certain signs, certain colours. She's acting like a psychic who forgot to take her meds. But then Saturday night, Alexis breaks down crying. And through her tears, she keeps saying the same thing over and over. "I'm not going to see my 30th birthday. I know I'm not going to make it." Her birthday was in March, just 2 months away. And this grown woman is sitting in her mother's house sobbing, convinced she's going to die. Now put yourself in Alberta's shoes for a second. Your daughter is saying someone called the devil is calling her. She's having premonitions, and she's crying about dying before 30. What do? Call a therapist? Call an exorcist? Call the police? Alberta didn't know. Sunday morning comes and Alexis starts getting ready to leave. Alberta begs her to stay. After everything she said the night before. Alberta doesn't want her to go. At first Alexis agrees, but then she changes her mind, gets dressed, does her hair and makeup, and says she's fine. She's going home to take a nap. Around noon, Alexis leaves. At 3 p.m, Alberta FaceTimes her to check in. Alexis answers right away. She's in bed just like she said she'd be. She tells her mama she's napping and will call back when she wakes up. Everything seems fine. Crisis averted, right? Wrong. Because after that call, Alexis looks out her window and sees something that makes her panic. There's a black truck parked outside. The same black truck she'd been telling people was following her. And someone sitting inside it. Alexis calls the police. We don't know what happened when they showed up, but after they leave, Alexis makes a decision. She grabs her kids, grabs her stuff, and gets out of that apartment. A few hours later, she calls TJ and asks him to meet her at the 7-Eleven so she can give him the children. Now, here's where we need to hear from TJ himself about what happened at that gas station.
I pull up at 7-Eleven. You know what I'm saying? She's sitting at the gas pump. I get out, go in the stove. I pump 35 in her gas tank, and I put 20 in mine. I come back out, get my son out the car. You know what I'm saying? She asked me, could Naomi go with me, her daughter? I was like, yeah, she can go. So I was like, she said, okay. She said, TJ, watch out for this car. She kept pointing at cars, like white car, black car, gray car. She said, watch out for these cars. She said, matter of fact, don't stop at no red lights. So I'm like, man, what you mean? I said, babe, you need help. You need to get some help. So I'm like, she was like, she know, TJ, I'm telling you. She's like, give me a hug me. So I hugged her, you know what I'm saying? The hug didn't feel right. Something wasn't right. So I got there and hugged, got in the car, and I pulled off. For y'all, the one that's in Anderson, I turn on Amity Road. As I pass Welfare Church, I barely passed Welfare Church. And she got dang on, she sped around me, bust right going down Anderson Belton Highway. So I just started calling. I'm like, where the hell she going? She supposed to been following me to my mom's house, but she said she was going to her mama's house. So I'm like, damn, what? I started calling. I called about 3 times. She cut the phone off. So I go to the house. You feel me? I'm going to the house. So goddamn I call her mama. I'm like, man, you talk to Lit? She supposed to be coming down there. She was like, nah, I ain't talk to her. She said, so she like, I like, man, she got the phone off. I got the kids. You feel me? So I'm like, she say, okay, I'm finna call her now. So she started calling on Facebook. Calling. Ain't get no response. We hear nothing else no more. I ain't hear nothing else. You feel me?
TJ describes Alexis pulling up to the 7-Eleven around 7:30 p.m. He pumps $35 into her tank, $20 into his own. He starts getting their son out of the car. And then Alexis asks if her daughter can go with him too. Remember, this is the man she wrote an email about 1 week ago, saying he killed 2 people and threatened to kill her. And now she's asking him to take both her children, including the daughter who isn't even his. TJ says sure. So both kids are getting transferred to his car. And that's when Alexis starts acting strange. She's telling him, watch out for these cars. White car, black car, grey car, watch out. And then she says something even weirder. Matter of fact, don't stop at no red lights. Mom, that's how you get a ticket or cause an accident. What are you talking about? And then Alexis says, give me a hug. They hug, and TJ said later that it felt wrong. Like a goodbye hug. Like she knew it was the last time. They both leave in separate vehicles. Alexis is supposed to follow TJ to his mother's house. They're driving down the road, they come to a red light, and then suddenly, Alexis guns it. She whips around his car, blows through that red light and speeds off into the night. TJ immediately starts calling her. No answer. He calls again. Nothing. The phone goes dead. That was 7:30 p.m., January 30th, 2022. The last time anyone saw Alexis Wear. But her car wasn't done moving. Highway cameras picked up her red Honda traveling to Augusta, Georgia, then coming back into South Carolina. Her car was also spotted multiple times at an apartment complex in Anderson. Not where she lived, a different complex. Nobody knows why her car was there or what she was doing. Monday comes. Alexis was supposed to show up at the lottery office in Augusta. She had an appointment. She never appears. The family keeps calling. Everything goes to voicemail. And here's what everyone says about Alexis. She always answered her phone. Day or night, if you called, she picked up. But now, silence. Tuesday, February the 1st, the family files a missing persons report. And then Wednesday, February 2nd, they get the call. A property owner in McCormick County. That's 50 miles from Anderson.
Her car was found on the side of the road 50 miles away.
That's what's weird about it. So her car keys, her driver's license, and then there's also in her trunk a bag just full of clothes. So nothing seems to be touched.
Found an abandoned car on a dirt road. A red Honda Accord. When police run the plates, they realize it's Alexis's. McCormick County is remote, baby. This isn't on a main road. This is a dirt road in the woods. The kind of place you only end up if you know exactly where you're going, or if someone takes you there. When investigators look inside the car, here's what they find. Alexis's cell phone, her purse with ID, a bag of clothes, her daughter's cell phone. Everything she'd need to survive is sitting in that car. But Alexis? Gone. And outside the car, lying in the grass, is the black hair bonnet she'd been wearing at the 7-Eleven. Now think about that. Hair bonnets don't just fall off. They're designed to stay on. For it to be on the ground, either Alexis took it off in a hurry, or there was a struggle. Alberta said it herself. When she was at the gas station, that was on her head. So if it came off, the first thing you do is pick it up and put it back on. That right there says there had to be some kind of scuffle. Law enforcement launches a massive search. Multiple agencies, helicopters, K9 units, cadaver dogs. They searched 222 acres around where that car was found. 8 hours on the first day alone. They find nothing. No trace of Alexis. No clothing. No evidence. It's like she vanished into thin air. They do another search on February 3rd. Another one on February 8th. Over and over they comb those woods. Nothing. Alexis Wear had disappeared. Now here's where social media lost its mind. Everybody was pointing at TJ. He was the last person to see her. He was her abusive ex. He threatened her. In cases like this, it's always the ex, right? People were calling him a murderer, analyzing every word he said, destroying his name online. TJ felt like he was being crucified for something he didn't do. But here's the thing that people weren't paying attention to. TJ was wearing an ankle monitor. That GPS device was tracking his every move 24/7. And according to Alexis's stepfather Frank, TJ's alibi checked out completely. The GPS showed he went to the 7-Eleven, then to his mother's house, then home. The next morning, he went to work on time. Everything matched up. His cousin was with him that day. And most importantly, Alexis's 9-year-old daughter was in the car when they left that gas station. She saw everything. Police questioned that little girl for 3 to 4 hours. And her story never changed. It matched TJ's account word for word. On January 30th, 2023, exactly 1 year after Alexis disappeared, the Anderson County Sheriff's Office made an official announcement. They cleared TJ. He was no longer a person of interest. But here's what's going to make you mad. While everybody was so busy pointing fingers at TJ, there was a whole other man that nobody wanted to talk about.
Yes, go ahead and tell, when I was locked up during my time, what about that dude Lex was messing with, having an affair with? What about that? Ain't nobody speaking on that, is it? That's who was obsessed with her. Y'all seen the messages? She sent me the message. Tell me don't send it out. Don't send it out to nobody. Don't know. Nigga, I'm tired of motherfucker bashing my name. I'm sending it to everybody I know. You know what I'm saying? Come on, bruh. She know whatever Lex had got going on, bruh. If anybody knows, she know. I ain't had nothing to do with nothing. Period. You know what I'm saying? I kept questioning her. Damn, Miss Alberta, but she talking to another dude? I mean, it gotta be. You know what I'm saying? Is this a plot, a setup, or something? What is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? So, I finally kept drilling her. So one day, last Monday, she sent me the message. She said, "Oh, it hit me like a lightning bolt." Yeah, she was messing. I didn't want to be the one to tell you. Yeah, she was having an affair with this dude. Come on, man. But y'all got there. But you already know what's going on. But you just not telling the police this shit, and here it is almost a month later. What type of shit that is, bro? What type of shit that is?
TJ himself brought this up. He said when he was locked up, Alexis was involved with another man. And this man was obsessed with her. TJ kept asking Alberta about it. And finally she admitted it. She said, yeah, Alexis was seeing someone and having problems with him. But Alberta didn't tell the police about this man until a month after Alexis disappeared. Let me say that again. Alexis's own mother knew about another man who was obsessed with her daughter. And she sat on that information for an entire month while everyone was searching. Why? What was the reason for not mentioning this immediately? We don't know, because Alberta hasn't explained it publicly. Some people in the community say it was a club promoter. Some say it was someone connected to law enforcement. There's been talk about a married man, but nothing has been confirmed. Nothing has been investigated publicly. And that's the problem with this case. And then there's this. Someone started sending Alberta messages claiming to know where Alexis was. One message told her to just go ahead and plan her daughter's funeral. Someone tried to extort $200 from the family in exchange for Alexis's safe return. The family gave all this to police, but they couldn't determine if it was real or just some sicko taking advantage of a grieving family. But here's what's going to absolutely blow your mind. Remember how I said TJ was cleared? Remember how everyone had to accept that the ankle monitor proved his innocence? Well, fast forward to February 2024, 2 years after Alexis disappeared. And TJ Patterson gets sentenced to 13 years in prison. What for? Attempted murder? Discharging a firearm into a dwelling. Criminal conspiracy. Obstruction of justice. Possession of a weapon during a violent crime. First-degree burglary. So let me get this straight. This man who Alexis said killed 2 people as a teenager. This man who told her the only reason he hadn't smoked her yet was the GPS on his ankle. This man who everyone said, oh, he couldn't have done it. He was cleared. Yeah. He went on to commit attempted murder anyway. Now, I'm not saying the ankle monitor lied about where he was that night Alexis disappeared. What I am saying is that maybe, just maybe, we should have listened to Alexis when she wrote that email describing exactly what kind of person TJ was. Because she turned out to be absolutely right about him being dangerous. So when people say TJ was cleared, move on. Baby, the man is literally in prison right now for trying to kill someone else. That ankle monitor alibi might have checked out for January 30th, 2022. But it doesn't erase the fact that Alexis's fear of him was completely justified. So where does that leave us? 3 years later, what do we actually know? Here's what we know for sure. Alexis was going through something in those final weeks, whether spiritual, psychological, or both. She was saying things about death, practicing root work, having visions. She was terrified. She told multiple people she wouldn't make it to 30. And on March 23rd, 2022, that birthday came and went without her. Just like she predicted. There are theories. Mental health crisis, staged disappearance, spiritual consequences, foul play. But here's the uncomfortable truth. We don't know which one is correct because everyone's story contradicts everyone else's. TJ's ankle monitor says he was home, but Alexis's email says he's a killer. Alexis acted terrified of TJ, but she kept calling him and gave him both her kids. She said she was leaving quietly, but she was doing root work and making confessions. Someone was following her in a black truck, but police found nothing. There's a mystery man, but nobody investigated him properly. This case remains unsolved, not because there's no evidence. It's unsolved because there's too much evidence pointing in too many different directions. And all of it contradicts. On January 30th, 2025, the 3-year anniversary of her disappearance, Alexis's family presented the Alexis Wear Act to try to change how missing persons cases are handled in South Carolina. They're still fighting. Her kids are still asking about their mama. And somewhere out there, somebody knows what happened. Whether Alexis is alive somewhere unable to come home. Whether something happened in those woods. Whether spiritual forces took her. Or whether someone harmed her and hid it. We may never know. Because in this case, baby, everybody's lying about something. And until someone tells the whole truth, Alexis Wear will remain a ghost story with no ending.